18 players, welcome back for the first draft of 2025. Obviously, we had tons of success with our answers here from 2024. Underdog's got it out, and I love drafting, so let's just dive right into this right now. We do need to establish some ground rules because obviously free agency hasn't happened, the actual NFL draft hasn't happened. So this is
retirement hasn't happened.
Yeah. So it's kind of an overall exercise of speculation to the max. And I think that there's going to be lots of times we have conversations about people who might be worthwhile in investing in, but not. And I'm going to give an example right now of someone who I'm pretty sure is going to be a beast next year in fantasy football, but was not this year. And that's going to be Justin Fields. Justin Fields is going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL next year. And he's going to run like crazy. There's only 2 rookies that are coming in to take what is probably 12 starting spots. So Justin Fields is going to end up being a starter somewhere. I just use him as an example, but there's going to be many of these that we're going to cross during the span of this. And also knowing that essentially it's a brand new contest, that the ADP is going to fluctuate like crazy. Absolutely. So I do think that there is
going to be
how's
it going
off of what the ADP is, but there's also going to be some of let's just get our guys. So with that being said, is there anyone you need us to have to say this? No doubt.
So family, what we're doing today is I was trolling the internet the other day, and I found out that Underdog was doing early big board Bestball drafts, and I thought that this was a concept. I didn't see it last year. We
was not here last year.
We weren't thinking about it in January last year. So, I thought, hey, let's put one in here. Here are some guys that I would love to have for next year. If we could prioritize them, that would be amazing. First guy I want to prioritize, if at all possible, is BTJ. BTJ is on my big board. BTJ is on my watch list for next year. I think that he's going to be a really good option. Dan, I did the same thing. I read it as baseball instead of Bestball. I don't know. Maybe our eyes are working the same way, but we're definitely doing some Bestball today for 2025. So get an early look, early lead into what we're thinking about. One of the other guys that I want to make sure we get, if possible, is Ladd McConkey. I definitely feel like the structure in the Chargers room is not going to be very much different. I also want to stay away from Chargers running backs because I do feel like they're going to be one of those teams that is going to target a guy. One of the guys I'm looking for on the back end as well, I'm really curious about, is Najee. Najee's going to get money. He's going to get paid this year, and he's going to be on a team that's probably going to use him. While he's not a dynamic player, I think that we can sit around on him for a little while.
I agree with that.
Looking into the early running backs, I do want to take the opportunity to get running backs. I want to get running backs that are going to stay, that have really good chemistry with their teams and a long contract, and don't look like they're going to be off. Guys that I'm looking at in the running back room: Bucky, and this is not recency bias; it's just based on what contracts look like. Jacobs as well. Yes, he has a little bit more wear on the tires than most, but that seems to be a really great spot for him as well. Speaking of some guys that possibly will be free,
let's look at it, Bob. We're going to be in the 11 hole.
He will definitely go somewhere that suits him as well. In the 11 hole here, this is going to provide us with an interesting.
All right, so we can't see the first 3 rounds. I got to. We'll switch this view around a couple times and to give you guys maximum appeal.
One of the things too, Joe, that I think we need to keep in mind is quarterback exits and quarterback problems. So, while Malik Neighbors is an interesting option, he currently has no quarterback. But if his quarterback becomes Russell Wilson, will that be better or worse for a guy like Neighbors? Looking at the Saints overall, Derek Carr probably isn't going to sign back. They might go after another quarterback. How will that affect the value of Olave? Also, thinking about guys that are retiring or potentially on the block to retire in the upcoming years. You look at Matt Stafford, maybe. You look at
Mike Evans on that category.
You look at Kelsey. Evans is going to drop if you go get Evans with Baker, they just lost Liam Cohen, the coach. How is that going to affect things? We're probably going to see Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson fall a pretty good deal in this draft. I wouldn't be opposed to taking either of those two guys or even Brees, depending on value. I
don't know if you can sell me on Brees. Although he does have a Jets guy. So Bob, right now, just to give you a little thing, since this is our first go around and we don't have all the ADPs figured out yet, BTJ is projected as the 11th ADP.
Now I'm okay with that.
So I'm just kind of putting that out there as a starting point.
Let me grab my computer so I can pull up.
Ashton Genty is a guy that obviously I love.
Yeah, but
he's 19. I'm just telling you this outright. A-Chain is also at 11. I don't think I want to touch A-Chain. I do want to put Mason on this roster. How do you feel about Henry at our turn spot?
No thanks.
I either want Henry or Genty.
Okay, Genty's an interesting pick. I think that if we're gonna go Rook, I think I'm okay doing something like that and then waiting on some rookies a little bit later.
Although Harrison didn't, he's a running back though, so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's like
Marv, we can wait on a little bit. I think.
Oh, absolutely.
A nice string of
Marv was. See, I'd way rather have BTJ than Christian McCaffrey.
List me the five guys here. Take BTJ.
I did. So here on this turn, it's basically A-Chain, Henry, or Genty is where I'm looking. Although if we're gonna do Lad, we probably got to get him now. So I'm taking it back. I'm gonna do Lad.
Yeah, do Lad. I'm okay with that. I really like that. I do like Genty too, guys. Genty's gonna be a baller, I think, in the league. But it really depends on the situations. I really like in this best ball format.
I think you have to assume he's going to Denver, though. I think that's a fair assumption. Genty into Denver.
I really like this in this best ball format right here to go with two younger wide receivers that are in situations that aren't going to be variable too much. Trevor Lawrence's injury is going to be a little bit interesting, but both of these players performed really well. In terms of this question, family, I don't think that I would deal Evans for Najee in Dynasty. I'd maybe wait a couple weeks to see what the situation for Evans is, but I do like Najee's potential because, like I said, any team that's going to pay for him is going to want him to play. And so I think that's going to be really important to note. And yeah, in these best balls, especially in these early best balls, I'm not really investing. And this is why I said against Derrick Henry, not the skill set of Derrick Henry, but I'm not investing in the age.
Yeah, that's fair.
In my first two picks, I really don't want to invest in age. So like, even if Lad wasn't there, I would be open to taking a guy like Drake London because he really performed well with Penix, and it looks like Penix is going to be the quarterback this year. Terry McLaurin, I think, is a little bit too high. Knowing that he performed really well with Jane Daniels this year, I'm okay with that. But I probably would rather, pivot into, if I'm in that position, I'd rather take Bucky over Terry.
And Bucky going right there.
If I were there in that slot right there. And Trey McBride, I think, is a great pick, too. It's an underrated pick. I wouldn't have taken him in the second round, I don't think. But if he was there in the third, I would definitely consider it because
I think, Bob, as a general rule, what we're saying here is we would much rather have the raw talent than the situation. That's kind of what you got to look for in this.
Raw talent, and you look at the situation. So when you're deciding between two players, it's talent, age, and also, what is that situation potentially going to look like? Like, for example,
so right now, as we look at the top backs on the board, and we're starting to get to a spot where receivers are starting to get heavily, but again, I think we're going to get Fields late, so I'm willing to risk there. We look at the top running backs on the board. James Cook just goes there. Mixon, Kyron, Chase Brown. Well, Chase Brown's a guy I absolutely wouldn't want to touch.
Yeah, I'm not interested in any of those guys.
Because he's not talented. Hampton, I might be interested in.
But not yet.
Young guy going to get used, probably the second running back off the board.
But not now, though. I think
Hampton would be ADP wise would have to be now.
Disagree. I don't think so. I think you can take him on the swing. One guy I'm interested in, Joe, and you can tell me if I'm crazy for being interested just because it was a nice year for him. How do you feel about doing at this point in time doing a Jaden Daniels.
You're not going to talk me off of Daniels.
We can go and pivot into our late Justin Fields a little bit later, but this secures us.
I also wouldn't mind doing Kittle.
Kittle, I'm not so sure of.
What other tight end are you sure of, though?
It means I think I'm willing to take 3 different tight ends and seeing which one hits.
Okay.
Take one of the rookies,
I really want to do Kyren then. I want a running back.
Kyren can lose his job, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with you needing a running back. Now, this goes, this Jaden Daniels pick, I think, is probably what you're going to be seeing in these early best ball drafts in the 3rd round right there. He has the job security. He's young. He's dynamic. In our first 3 picks, we take 3 dynamic players. Let's say Kyren. Kyren's not the most explosive player, but maybe they give him another year. He's not my favorite guy there, but if you want a running back.
Well, here was your other options. And Mixon, Hampton, Kamara, Monty, or Pacheco. I mean, Kyren's head and shoulders above that group.
Yeah, but his job security, as family pointed out about our conversation earlier, his job security is, something that I do question.
No, that's fair. He's not. That's a guy I wanted to ask about. Also, was Reach. But finishing this thought on Kyren, he is in the category with Chase Brown that the situation has been golden for him, but he's not the most talented guy. He's replaceable. But Corum isn't the one who's going to replace him. It's going to have to be one this year.
It's probably going to be somebody this year. I think you're right. I think you're right about that. I'm really curious about where Hurts goes after his performances recently, and them seeing basically that he's essentially like a running quarterback here. I'm definitely curious about where people are going to stand on him.
So, Bob, I'm liking De'Ami Brown. I'm telling you, I'm going to throw him on our list for late.
He can be late. One of the players that One of the players that I want to look at. So, you see Garrett Wilson going in the third round. Blake Corum, I would, knowing we have Kyren, I would take a deeper stab because this is, I believe, 20 rounds. If we,
I think it's still 18. Let me confirm that.
If we could get him,
it is 20. Oh, you're right.
If we could get him somewhere a little bit later, I would still want to take him too, just to kind of, because it's very clear that whoever
just so you know, on our side, I'm slotting them by ADP. All right,
it's very
so that way
clear.
It's a nice logical list. As far as people that I've put on my list, for ADP, next one coming up is Hampton. He's for 57.5. He basically would have to be the next pick. So another guy that I'm liking that would be amazing if we get him in the turn. It goes against your age thing, but is Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams, wherever he goes to after he gets cut by the Jets, is going to be one of the most coveted free agent receivers.
I'm okay with something like that.
Get Devontae Adams in the 5th or 6th round.
I don't see Xavier Worthy's name not on the board yet. And that man has proven dynamic.
You haven't seen Metcalf either. This is a guy I like a lot.
Metcalf hasn't gone. And it's very clear, you like Hampton, and I do think that Hampton's a good enough pick here. But I got to admit this. So
there went Pickens.
I am okay shooting the gap.
Xavier Worthy did get drafted already, Bob.
He did? Where at?
You got the guy before our Kyren pick.
Okay, I didn't see that. Kenneth Walker's an interesting pick. I think it would be interesting to take Charbonnet a little bit later. I do think that like a Sharps pick in the back end would be a nice one. Maybe
so there went Adams. So we got to start finding someone worthwhile.
So talk to me a little bit about the wide receivers that are up there right now.
So you're looking at the top of your board when you look at just taking quarterbacks off of it are Judy, Hampton, Waddle, Kamara, and Sutton. Olave. Olave's an intriguing guy to me. I don't think he's going to be concussed forever.
Olave, we have terrible.
Although I might rather have Sutton over Olave, though.
No, I don't know, man.
Well, Olave just went, so it doesn't matter. So this pick's going to be Hampton, and we have a gap. So we're going to have to look at someone in this area. The next tight end is Kelsey. I do love the Hawk. The Hawk looked good.
let's tone it back because I don't think we need to take a tight end right now.
Yeah, no, you are. So we'll stick with that. I wouldn't mind here Hampton and Waddle though.
I like Waddle.
All right, so that's what's going to be. It's going to be Hampton and Waddle if he comes to us.
Yeah, I'm okay with a guy like Waddle for sure. I'm just trying to get.
Nope, there went Waddle. So
yeah, that's fine.
Another guy I like because I think he's going to have a great year, even though maybe because I was all over it last year, is Debo.
No, I'm not sold on that. I don't want any. I don't want any piece of that. And if we did want a piece of that, we could get that much later.
So Sutton's the highest one we have on our board.
So
Sutton to me would be the pick here.
That's fine. We could do that. I was gonna say I like that the Arizona wide receiver McMillan.
McMillan's our next pick.
Well, Jane McMillan, yeah. I was gonna say I would have rather had Jane McMillan over Cortland Sutton.
Oh no, but ADP wise, McMillan should still be around 2 rounds from now.
Yeah, but some people don't draft on ADP, like you said. They're taking the best player. If I'm looking off the screen, I'm just looking off some lists here. Yeah, I think that what I see from this board so far is some interesting dynamics happening here. What I definitely want to have prior to in round 6 is I definitely want to have 3 wide receivers minimum.
Which we nailed,
and that is perfectly fine. And it goes to our philosophy of making sure you get a running back in there. I think that where we're sitting at with Kyron and Hampton is kind of a tenuous position, and it's not necessarily a super blessing. I
want to go rookie running backs. I'm doing it, man. Like I'm feeling it.
I'm definitely okay doing rookie running backs because I do want to load up on young players in solid situations that are going to feast depending on where things go with
and I lean a lot more towards running backs than I do towards receivers. It's just how it is.
But as you can see here, Joe, that after the first 3 to come off the board, the next ones that you want to have,
and I'll switch to make it a little bit easier for y'all to see them,
are Genty and Bucky, right? And so with those guys going in the back half of the second, you're going to have to really pull yourself up to get into them. The wide receiver rookies are an interesting proposition to me. Like McMillan and Igbuka, I just think it's very, very intriguing. When will I look starting for the 3 tight end group? I'm probably not looking at that until like round 10. Looking at where some of those rookies are, where some starters are, building a couple starters and rookies. It's such a fluctuating position that, as we've seen this year, the tippy top can fluctuate on a week-to-week basis. So by the end of the season, that might not actually be the players that performed well all season, but they had the most boom games. So in Bestball here, if I can get 3 of these guys to kind of just see what's up, I'm okay. It doesn't really, and as you can see, out of the tight ends,
I love that Ayuk pick. That guy's building the Niner stack.
The tight ends that went off the board so far, Kittle, Laporta, and Brock Bowers, I mean, that's going to be the top
McBride.
3.
McBride's gone too.
And McBride. Those are going to be the top 4. And by that point in time, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to take them until a little bit later. Quinton Judkins is a good pick. I like that a lot. He performed really well in the championship game. Travion Henderson went, another good option. So when we
so our running back room is starting to look pretty thin.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, I think that round 7 or 8 here, a Najee pick isn't a bad choice. If he's still available,
it's saying ADP for Najee is 130, and for the established players, they are kind of going.
There goes ADP. McMillan. That's why I wanted to take McMillan before Sutton, because I knew he was going to be gone. That was always going to happen too.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot bigger pull towards the established players right now, like Connor going there. Well, Bob, I'm not passing Debo up two in a row.
Yeah, I think it's a trash pick, but if that's what you want to do, that's fine.
See, I don't think Debo's going to be a trash pick. I think he's going to go somewhere and be the amazing slot machine he was before.
I mean, we can agree to disagree. We can definitely agree to disagree on that. but I am disagreeing. Very much so.
See, well, he went anyway. There you go. So now we're kind of at a spot where there's not a whole lot of love here. I mean, Shahid is on the board for best ball. Shahid's actually a very good player on best ball.
Yeah, I think it's a little much. What about the? I know that you're saying that it's a little early. I am willing.
If you want me to put Najee up, I can make Najee the pick.
Yeah, I want to make sure we get him. It's
right,
a little
Najee,
early, but I want.
And then we get to think about the next one. So we got to think quick here. So there goes Najee. Again, I like Shahid's best ball. I do like Jacoby Myers, thinking they're going to have at least some quarterback.
Can we take, if he hasn't gone yet, can we take
Sharbs? Because he won't come back to us.
We can take Sharbs. We can take Matthew Golden, rookie wide receiver. I think that could be a good look for us. We could also pivot and make sure we get Blake Corum. Marvin Mims is another option that he looks like a great option with Bo Nix. Who knows?
Do you want to do Mims and then just do the Denver stack later with
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
All right, so I'm going to make Mims this pick then.
Because I don't think we'd get Mims if we waited.
I don't think so either. Knowing that I think there's a better chance Golden slips to us than Mims.
And family, I'm not saying that Amari wouldn't be a good pick, but I'm thinking more often than not, people are going to wait for Amari. I think that if you want Amari, you could probably wait to the 9th or 10th round in these early best ball drafts because he's had such a putrid season. And we live in the moment a lot of times in these fantasy games. And when somebody performs that bad, and it's not guaranteed that he stays around in Buffalo, it's definitely a problem. It would definitely be a problem for me on picking him. Also, a guy like Rashad Bateman performed really well this year for Baltimore. He wasn't a guy that's at the top of my list from last year, but I think, you'll probably see him perform really well this year. There goes Charbonnet. That was expected to happen. So our running back room is looking a little thin, but we'll try to make up some ground on some guys on the back end here. Guys I'm looking at, Tank Bigsby, ETN, players like that have a chance to kind of make their name for themselves. Not definitely super established, but we'll see what happens. There goes Bo Nix. So we can't build that stack. That's fine. I'm okay with that. When Joe comes back, he'll tell me what kind of quarterbacks are there. And even so, family, we were talking about tight ends.
Back, Bob.
We were talking about tight ends. Guys that I have my eye on, Cade Otton, for example, is a guy that I have my eye on in Tampa Bay. Utilized very well when players went down. I think that's an interesting option. Hunter Henry with another year with Drake May, I think is an awesome choice a little bit later. Joe, Bo Nix just went.
I saw that.
So we're gonna be scrubbing the line there. Also,
we're gonna take Justin Fields on the second pick of this turnaround here.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. What other tight ends, by the way? I asked what other tight ends are out there.
Andrews out there, Jonnu Smith's out there, Tucker Kraft.
Sorry, I meant quarterbacks.
Oh, your quarterbacks are Love, Goff, Herbie, Murray, Purdy. So Fields probably isn't going before them, so we don't need to rush Fields here.
Yeah, I don't think you need to.
But I do like getting Jonnu Smith on this roster.
Also, guys like David Njoku.
Because we have Waddle, right?
No, we don't have Waddle.
Oh, you're right, we don't.
David Njoku is an interesting option at tight end as well. We said last year that he's oftentimes the last of the good tight ends. As I said, while you were away, Joe, I think a Bigsby ETN stack would be interesting. ETN's going to land somewhere. And if he does, Bigsby is going to take over down in Jacksonville. If they decide to move on from ETN will go to a team that probably wants a running back, similar to the Najee thing. I think it's worth taking a chance on guys like that.
All right, so you're saying no tight end.
I like Ricky Pearsall too, but he just went.
He did. Njoku's like the last tight end for a while.
He is. And, like I said, this 9th, 10th round is probably where I want to start thinking about taking at least one tight end. So there goes Matthew Golden. I think that's going to be a great pick.
See, we're at the end. See, so I'm leaning here, Bob. What are your feelings on Trey Harris?
I don't really have feelings one way or another on that.
All right. Well, then what we're going to do here is Corum and Bigsby then.
Yeah. I'm absolutely fine with something like that. Trey Harris also, if the ADP is showing up, because again, ADP is kind of weird. If he's a guy you like and you don't think we can get him on the backside,
I think I'd rather have Corum and Bigsby. Picks. I'm a running back core, Bob. Again, I will never fight that. We are a little light this would give us up to 5 running backs.
And that's fine. I mean, like, that's kind of where we want to be at. We want to overload ourselves a little bit on wide receivers towards the end,
and running backs
and running backs. But three tight ends is kind of where we want to be at. Yeah,
this guy next to us has not taken a running back yet.
He's taken a lot of old guys.
He hasn't taken a running back yet.
Yeah, but the other guy's taken a lot of old guys. The one on the opposite side.
Yeah,
exactly. Right here. This is what I'm talking about. Otten, Likely, Fant, Komet, Hunter Henry. I don't think you need to rush a tight end at all.
We're not. I mean, at this point,
disparity between everything.
What's the difference between Tucker Kraft and Njoku? Because I don't really.
We saw this year that there's not much. It's not much. So I'm okay with that.
What I want to focus on as far as one of the parts of this exercise is now that we're in the rounds of this parts of the draft, who are going to be the guys that just start plummeting? Obviously, I think Kelsey is because he's going to retire.
Well, yeah. But again, you haven't seen Amari Cooper, right?
I mean, you should. I don't think you've seen many builds. Let me do a quick search.
Also, Joe, one thing I'm very curious about, and I think this will be interesting, a Xavier Legette.
Oh, I love Legette.
Xavier Legette, Bryce Young combination. Because Bryce Young looked pretty good towards the back half of that season. I'm not going to lie. He scored a lot of decent points.
Again, I'd rather have Fields, but if you want to have 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah, I'm okay with like a Bryce Young, Fields, Jaden Daniels kind of situation. Mobile quarterbacks that can throw the ball. I like something.
See, if I don't get Bryce Young, I'm not going to be sad. But I want Legette. He's a name that should have been on my list earlier.
Yeah,
I think that they're really building towards him. I think he's got something.
Look at this.
He's probably not making it to us, though.
Round 10, you can get Dallas Goedert. Like, I know he's not the best option at tight end always, but, I mean, he could put together a good game here or there, and it's really not much different.
We're the only one without a tight end right now. So that, for what that's worth.
Honestly, I'm fine.
Yeah, me too.
I'm fine with that. Because as we've proven, in order to have a top 10 tight end week in best ball formats, in any format, especially in this half PPR, it's the touchdown market that really kind of makes a difference, because the 4 receptions isn't going to do jack shit. So
no, it's like, and Legette's the top receiver on the board. He's not going to make it back to us.
We'll see. People.
If he does, he does. I wouldn't mind taking Kincaid. I don't think they're going to give up on him. I do think he'll recover.
And Joe, the other option is, I don't like Trevor Lawrence, but it does build a mini stack here with BTJ. Herbie's still on the board, builds a stack with Ladd, if that's something you want to think about.
Well, I guess the question is Evan Ingram's still on the board, and that's a very tight end centric guy. He just got hurt this year.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not necessarily opposed to the Jacksonville build. I know Christian Kirk isn't going to be there.
There goes Herbie. So we're starting to see a little bit more quarterbacks come off the board.
Dude, if I can get this combination to be Legette and Kincaid, though, I would really like that.
You want Kincaid?
Yeah.
After what you saw this year?
Yeah.
You want Kincaid?
Yeah.
No, please don't do that.
Because you don't draft them that high and not use them.
Well, they didn't use them.
No,
they did.
Again, tight ends were the longest positions to develop in the league.
They did the thing that you said they wouldn't do. They did it. There goes Legette.
Oh, I said Legette was going to make it to us. I just thought he was going to go where Isaiah Bond went.
I just like him. I mean, like, if we wouldn't have went Blake Corum and Tank Bigsby, then Legette would have probably.
Oh no! I wanted the running backs more. We already have our starting ones. We're definitely going to throw De'Ami Brown late in this lineup.
You know,
Um,
I'm also Joe. I'm also not saying it's a bad option to do something maybe like Isaiah Likely and Justin Fields.
right here.
Yeah, something like that. I'd be okay with something like
Dude, I want Fields on this team. So if we're at the spot where you're not going to complain about him being a reach, I will Fields it. I'm going to take Fields on the first pick though, because the other guy next to us doesn't have
Jalen
a
Coker was a guy that I
quarterback.
was looking at as well. You
Coker's
know,
a good pickup.
building the stacks here in certain situations is a really interesting proposition for me. The only problem with Brian Thomas Jr. is that I really don't like Trevor Lawrence in terms of him being able to get you 25 plus points in a week to really set yourself up in a good situation. So when I'm looking at quarterbacks that I'm stacking, is I want to see that good potential upside. There goes Dalton Kincaid. Somebody took a chance on him round 11.
Scataboo, baby.
Cam Scataboo went. I'm not a fan of that pick, but it is what it is. I love Cam, but I don't know.
Dude, if Scataboo is successful in the NFL, the place he would work
Also,
the
Joe,
best is Pittsburgh, where they just plot him, give him 5 million carries, and don't
also
care how much
Joe,
yards he gets.
a running back that I haven't seen. Maybe I'm crazy, but no, he went round 10. If I can get it, like I'm not really worried about running backs. If I can get a running back like Brian Robinson Jr. in the 10th round, by all means, lay it on me, right? And Kyler Murray just went there. I'm okay passing on Kyler Murray. I don't need that.
I'd rather have Justin Fields than Murray.
I do not.
Fields is going to be a starter next year.
Hey,
and when
Joe,
Fields is a starter, he's electric.
Bateman went. So yeah, make this likely. I'm okay with that. I'm absolutely okay with something like that. So as you can see, family, this is the first of our 3 tight ends. We're probably going to jump into the market. Hey, Joe, can you go up a little bit? I just want to see if Big Daddy Ferguson went. Did he go?
Ferguson?
Yeah.
Ferguson is the top rate tight end available right now.
Okay. I mean, keep him up there. Also, if Mr. Penix didn't go, Mr. Penix could be a good option if you want a third quarterback.
You have no Atlanta though.
I know. Again,
Penix is available.
You know, and you know your boy Kyle Pitts is still out there. I think.
Oh yeah, that ain't happening.
Yeah, boy. Also, wide receivers that I'd be willing to take a chance on: Michael Wilson, Arizona; Jordan Whittington, L.A. Demario Douglas, New England, potentially, maybe. Yoshivas, Cincinnati.
Oh, the iOS. The iOS is primed if Higgins leaves.
You know, and like I said, I love still Hunter Henry, Cole Kmet, guys like that. You know, Ben Johnson going to Chicago, they'll utilize Cole Kmet. So, like, I'm not off the bus.
Well, they're going to be losing Allen. So Kmet might have an opportunity to step up.
So, family, I agree with you. It seems nuts because job security is in T-Law's favor. But what I will say is that what the Steelers have said, what their ownership has said is that they are signing one of those quarterbacks and only one of those quarterbacks. And that quarterback.
When did they say only one of those?
They said it in a closed meeting. I was listening to radio this morning. They said it in a closed meeting that was revealed. He's only keeping one of the quarterbacks. It's either going to be Russ or it's going to be Fields. If Fields leaves, by the way Fields plays, he could
Fields is starting somewhere in this league
on 5 different teams. Okay. Yeah. And here's the other thing. Trevor Lawrence is not a quarterback that seems capable of putting up 28 plus points in a given week. And we've established this year that if you want to have a top DFS lineup or a good best ball lineup, you need a quarterback that is capable of scoring 25 plus points in a given week to keep yourself competitive within a pod, right?
All right, Dak, we're at the spot where we're just taking our guys.
So Dak and Anthony Richardson.
Can you answer that just so I get prepared? Are we just taking our guys now?
No, and I agree with you, family, on this one. And he was the starter, and for some reason, ownership wanted Russell Wilson because I guess the money. You know, it is what it is there. So there you go.
Cool with that? We're just picking up our dudes now and not caring about ADP anymore.
You know, I'm not so concerned about ADP, but I do want to keep it as a guide.
All right. So right now I have the iOS Wilson as 2 comebacks. I think that we're with our 5 running backs, Tanks, Bigsby, Corum, Najee, Hampton, and Kyren. I think we're done at running back.
If you'd like, you can throw in a tight end here as well, like a Cade Otton or a Hunter Henry or a Cole Kmet. Give us 2 tight ends and take one of those wide receivers. I'm okay with something like that. If you want to take another quarterback here as well, Quentin Johnson is an interesting pick there, like a Penix. To give
if I'm going to take quarterback, I'm going to take Cam Ward.
That's fine, but I mean, Penix is with a better run game, better offensive line, better wide receivers.
That's true too.
Cam Ward could end up on the Giants.
Trevor Lawrence just went off our board. All right, so
again,
I think that the picks here. I mean, I'll take Penix in the first pick because the guy next to us doesn't have a quarterback.
And family, we did definitely jump the gun on Fields. But
there's no doubt about that. But
when you look at the scope of those players that are there, I think the only one that I would rather have would probably be Dak. But again, it's really roulette. Bryce Young just went. Bryce Young again, a solid option as well. There's lots of, and we're going to be doing a couple of these drafts here and there. So we're going to be playing around with a couple different strategies here and not putting Fields on every team. There goes Amari Cooper, Kyler Murray, CJ Stroud. Interesting combination. Going Penix first, I think, is a good option here. I'm not saying he's the best pick at quarterback, but I do see potential there, especially with another year with Bijan, another year with a good offensive line. Hey, Jesse, what's happening, man? Joe, did you make the pick? I think you're frozen. All right, let's see what Joe does here, guys. I think his screen or whatever is frozen, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, and family, that's the kind of the point that I was making earlier, is you look at where we took our first tight end. We took our first tight end round 12, and, still on the board, guys like Cole Kmet, Hunter Henry, Joe's on his own. We're going to be pulling that back up. I don't know what happened with Joe. But, guys, we're doing a best ball draft right now. Joe just went off screen. I don't know what happened to him. He'll be back, but we'll talk a little bit here. Specifically, I want to talk about these tight ends. If you're doing these big boards best ball drafts, and you'll notice our screen is black if you're just joining us, something happened with his computer. I'm not one to really take a big chance on a tight end unless it's going to be like a Trey McBride or a Brock Bowers. But again, it's a one-off position that's going to come at the cost of building your roster, especially if you're deep in the corners of that turn. The talent that's going to follow you is going to be varying at different points in time. So when we were drafting, we took Brian Thomas Jr. and Ladd McConkey 1-2. And I think you're going to see a lot of drafters in that position go off with 2 wide receivers. It seems to be, if you're just walking in and just tuning in, we're having some technical difficulties. Joe will be back with our draft that we're doing right now to take those wide receivers, because as you saw, if you were watching as we were doing it, guys like Brian Robinson are falling, guys like Ken Walker are falling, guys like Charbonnet are falling. And while they're not like the elite options, we've established over the course of time here that, theoretically speaking, when you have when you're looking for upside in a running back, it's there are going to be touchdown markets, there are going to be yardage markets, there are going to be these markets that you're looking into, and will they be able to, if they're your running back 1, running back 2, is there a potential there to put up 20 points? Ideally, you want your running back in half PPR here to try to be able to put up 20 plus points in a given week. And if you don't nab one of those first 4 guys like Bijan, Gibbs, and Saquon, that you're looking at and you're saying, well, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Well, then you take those wide receivers that are going to provide you with the next best option there. In Underdog's format, there is a flex position, so it does behoove you to kind of be able to think about where we're at with that. So, who we have in the first couple of rounds, I haven't been writing them down, but I'll try to get them the best I can to you. Brian Thomas and Ladd McConkey, we're drafting in the 11th slot. Brian Thomas and Ladd McConkey were our first 2 picks. Coming back around in the 3rd round, we took Jaden Daniels. In the 4th round, we were there and we took Kyron.
Dude, I just had the blue screen of death. I haven't had that in years.
Damn. So I wonder who it took for us. 4th round.
It took who we discussed. It took Penix in our pick there that we were going to take him before the guy next to us didn't have any quarterbacks left.
Yeah.
And then Kate Austin was another guy you said you wanted, and that's who we went with, Bob. The queue is prepared now, dude. And the guys we're going to be taking with the next picks are going to be Michael Wilson and De'Ami Brown.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would
that's what we're looking here, and we'll play rookie roulette thereafter.
Yeah, and
it's gonna be Mike Wilson, De'Ami. Maybe De'Ami first. Which one you
after this, Jesse? We'll be reading our team
first.
As well. So grabbing 3 top 25 tight ends could be a very good option. One might still fill the flex, but here's the thing, family. When we look at the tight ends, we've talked about this all year, especially in a half PPR. If you can get 10 points out of your tight end, that's going to be an option to fill in. But there's a better likelihood that a wide receiver or a running back is going to be a better fill-in for that. The tight ends have a very, very low floor, but these secure tight ends are an interesting combination. Like Zach Ertz is probably not going to be in the league next year, but he might. And with that in mind, maybe.
But actually, I take that back. I want to put Mike Wilson on the back burner because I think I can get him in 2 rounds. Yeah. I want De'Ami for sure, and I also want Noah Gray. With Kelsey retiring, I think Noah Gray is going to outscore Ertz and a lot of these guys.
I'm not entirely sure that Noah Gray has the job. Just like I was going to say, a guy like Ben Sinnott, I'm not entirely sure he has the job, but I mean, he seems to be a guy that they could go to a little bit later.
He's at least the heir apparent, and they gave Noah Gray money last year.
They did.
So you don't do it if he doesn't have the job.
You can't. You don't take a kicker in this one. You don't take a kicker in Bestball. At least in this format. And we don't have a lot of rooks on our team, which is okay. Rookie situations are very variable. So like say a guy like Savion Williams were to go to a team, maybe he does well, maybe he doesn't. I mean, it's all speculative right now. And
here, but let me ask you, who would you be more upset if we don't have? Noah Gray or Michael Wilson?
Well, De'Ami's the pick here.
De'Ami's the pick here.
I'm not really upset with not getting either of those 2 guys, to be honest with you. Like, if I'm being brutally honest with you.
Here's a couple of rookies up that we can talk about. We got Jalen Rollins, wide receiver. Savion Williams, receiver. The tight end. I don't want to pick a rookie tight end.
Yeah, I just brought up Savion Williams. I think it could be, round 3 kind of guy. I think it could be an interesting option.
There's also Roman Wilson out there.
No. Is
don't put him on this roster. Now I just rethought of him.
Is Yoshi still out there? Hollywood.
The iOS was drafted at 164 overall.
Okay. Curious about like a running back like Braylon Allen if he was still on the board. I mean, that's an interesting pick there too.
What about Mason?
Mason might not have a job next year. I don't know, man.
I think he's going to be the starter.
I think you can hold off on him for a little bit.
I can. I think Noah Gray should be the pick here or Savion Williams.
I'd rather take the rook because I
think it will be.
I think that the rook, because here's the thing about Noah Gray is that they might do, a stupid platoon. I mean, they can be successful with that. If Kelsey were to retire, and that's speculative too, but if he were to retire, they can definitely do a platoon and don't have to start Noah Gray all the time. And they could bring in Hendershot or they could bring in another tight end or do something crazy. Tight ends are.
Braylon Allen went, by the way.
Okay. The ceiling for, I like the Hunter Henry pick. He has a good comment. He's a good rapport with Drake May, but the ceiling for a tight end isn't as high potentially as a ceiling for one of these rookie wide receivers. Like if you hit on one of these rookie wide receivers, I mean that like you're shooting for the moon on these. And I'd be willing to take another tight end, say in like round 19. I'm sure
right,
Ben Sinnott.
Our next two picks are going to be Wilson and Mason. Dude, you can't tell me Mason's not going to have a job. he almost broke the Niners rushing record at one point. He was on fire.
Yeah, but the thing is that they also have Garendo, and they'll platoon those two even if Christian McCaffrey can't.
See, I don't think they will platoon him because they didn't. They didn't platoon him at all. Mason had all of the love when both him and Garendo were healthy. You're staying up to date with the comments, right, Bob? Or did you freeze out on me? Sorry, guys, you're just stuck with me for a minute. Family, you are right. We are just betting on lottery tickets right now, and that's part of what you get at the end of a best ball league. I mean, that's first off, this is a weird time of year to do it before even free agency and the draft. Obviously before retirements are issued. But when you look at it, they're what Mason, I knew he wasn't gonna make it. When you look at it, that's part of what this is, though, is to get a little bit of love for the players, get a feel for the really early where people are and where they aren't, and then go from there. So, yeah, they're all plopping off here. But I did want De'Ami Brown more than I wanted to make sure we didn't miss De'Ami Brown. And that's part of where I was looking with that pick. Gesicki's a guy I need to have on this roster. So we're getting to the spot now where there's people, if you like them, you just grab them. We're at a spot in terms of our overall roster construction. We have 3 quarterbacks on it with Daniels, Fields, and Penix. Our running back room to me is set with Williams, Hampton, Najee, Corum, and Bigsby. The receiver room is where people are going to say we could be light, but Thomas, Ladd, and Sutton, Mims, De'Ami Brown, and Savion Williams, you're all right there. Tight end with Likely and Otten. Otten has been a dude before and probably will be a dude again. So that's where we're sitting at here. Hopefully Mike Wilson comes around to us because I do not want to have to pick up Bob's boy, but I will because of how much he loved him at the beginning of the year in Wan'Dale Robinson. Because Wan'Dale Robinson is the definition of a slot machine. So third tight end here. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, family. And that third tight end is going to be Gesicki. Gesicki had some fantasy weeks when Higgins was out. That was insane. And we're looking at an entire season of Higgins being out. We took Otten earlier because he blew up whenever Godwin went down. And there's a very good chance it happens again.
Holy moly.
So
it's that
we missed that on Burton. That made me a little sad, but that is what it is. Welcome back, Bob.
4:30 drop apparently.
Yeah. Maybe Al-Qaeda's re-attacking. I don't know.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm probably not taking another tight end there until
I'm taking Gesicki on this pick.
I don't like that.
Dude, how much he blew up without Higgins there.
Yeah,
he
but he
gave
might
us
not
fantasy one numbers, which
but he might not even be
in the
there.
draft you take.
He might not even be there because they have another tight end there, Eric All. They also have Hudson. So they have 3 tight ends, so they might not even keep him around.
Again, when they were all there, he's the only one they gave the ball to.
I mean, it's fair, but I think that I'd rather take a chance on another wide receiver here or Mason.
Mason's already gone.
Oh, Mason went? Okay. Mm-hmm. Where did he go?
He 188.
Okay, that's fair.
So your running backs left are McLaughlin, Antonio Gibson, Ty Johnson, Eckler, Estimate. All these guys are going to lose their job. Kendre Miller might be spicy. I don't even know.
Kendre Miller could be spicy. That could be a spicy pick.
All right. So Gesicki and Kendre.
I mean, you want Gesicki. I don't.
I do want Gesicki.
Doing whatever you want to do on that one.
Yeah,
I don't think that Ertz comes back one more year, family, to be honest with you. I mean, he might, but I don't think he's going to see the same type of production because as you could see this year, that he was pretty much only that red zone guy. He wasn't providing you any anything after the catch. And I think when you get to a tight end like that market for such a long time, that, he does still have value in fantasy circles. And he, and in terms of his play on the field, you can't really knock anything that he does other than the after the catch stuff. But there's got to be an eventual point where they're going to probably hand over the reins to somebody else. That's why I don't think rushing a guy like Gesicki when his situation is like very unsure, I'm not about that.
See, I am big on Gesicki because I first off I know he's a starting
No,
tight end.
I mean, but that's what I was saying. He has value, especially in best ball. He has value. Go up, Joe. I think he was taken in the 15th round.
Who's that?
Ertz in the 15th round. With Ertz, if
Yeah,
he would have
Ertz went 171 overall.
If he would have floated back to us and our wide receiver room would have been a little bit more settled, and let's say we didn't take Cade Otton where we took Cade Otton and we would have taken 2 wide receivers right there, I probably would have floated it into Ertz, and Ertz would most likely be higher if the impending threat of retirement wasn't there on him. Same thing for like a guy like Travis Kelce, but he could come back for another year, but within that same year, maybe you get a touchdown here. I could see it still being relevant. I could. I'm not out of the realm of possibility, but I would rather more so take a chance on a guy that I think is going to play this year than a guy that I think is going to retire. But in the 15th round, I'm willing to take a chance on almost anybody. So I'm not saying that Zach Ertz is a bad pick by any means. I do like him, but we just went in a different direction on the tight end market.
Yeah, I'm scrolling down through picking up some names that
I like Sinnott. I like Sinnott late. That's why I was telling Joe that I don't necessarily see that we need to take Gesicki where Gesicki went, because he's just in an uncertain situation as anybody else, because it's not guaranteed that he's going to be on the team next year anyway. So if he were to go someone else, I don't see him projecting necessarily better than anybody else. But again, it's all about kind of playing. Joe's absolutely right when he was speaking about Gesicki, is that Gesicki is one of those guys that definitely holds his value if he's playing and getting a full complement of snaps. And I think that Sinnott could. I think that Sinnott could surprise a lot of people this year. And in best ball,
Sinnott was built the way you do a normal roster build in real life. You give the tight end the extra year, and that's certainly what they did there.
But especially because we took Jane Daniels, I thought that Sinnott would have been a better option than Gesicki. That's the only reasoning behind that pick as well.
I think Gesicki can give you week 1 numbers every week.
Yeah, but Sinnott could too if he falls into a role like
No, because Washington's tight end never got close to receiver number 1. Gesicki did it 3 different weeks.
Ertz just scored 24 points this week.
That's in the playoffs. I'm talking during the regular season.
So looking at late, who might fall into a starting job like the Oakland guys this season. So I mean, as we scrolled up, you saw our Justin Fields pick a little bit early. You could see a rookie end up there, but honestly speaking, you're probably going to definitely see a retread of a Jameis Winston, Mason Rudolph, Will Levis family. I'm not really into any of those three at this point in time in their careers, but I could definitely see something like that happening in there. Russell Wilson might end up going to Las Vegas. He could be an interesting quarterback to take. Again, in best ball formats, I'm primarily looking at quarterbacks that have the capability to spike weeks over 25, 26 points, hopefully in that 28 market. I do think Fields gets you there. I do think Bryce Young gets you there. I really like Bryce Young's potential this year, going in that, 12th round? Somewhere in the 12th round.
Yeah, we'll do the autopsy up top.
Yeah, you just saw Jalen Milroe go. If he gets put in the right situation, maybe that works out for him. I think it could be an interesting choice. Joe,
I got these 2 picks, Bob. I know where I'm going with them. I'm going the all or nothing best ball legends.
Did Mechie go? Mechie's situation, if Tank Dell can't go, could be really interesting.
I also would just rather have Tank Dell.
I mean, that would be a shoot for the moon if he even has a leg to still stand on. No offense.
Well, the first one was the guy who went all or nothing with complete shit quarterback play.
Oh, your boy, my boy. Woo!
Yeah.
I like. Yeah, I think that Sam Howell's an interesting choice. Family. He wasn't given the chance to perform in Seattle this year. He did have some performances back in. He definitely can spike you like 25 points, which is interesting. Deshaun Watson. I don't think that Sean Watson is worth anything anywhere right now. I don't think that he gets signed. Too much of a headache. Barely plays. Not
All right,
good
Bob.
at
I'm taking
all.
either a Steeler receiver or a Houston receiver. Would you
Who you
rather
want?
have Calvin Austin, Wilson, Dell, or Mechie?
I'd rather have Mechie. He has a leg, so I'm cool with that. I think wide receivers without injuries are a really good spot to be in.
All right, so let me read off the final roster we ended up settling with. I think quarterback is our strongest position with Daniels, Fields, and Penix, followed by Kyron, Hampton, the rookie, Najee Harris, Corum, Bigsby, Kendra Miller. We draft Kendra Miller a lot. Receivers, first pick overall, Brian Thomas. Second pick was Ladd. Then we went Sutton, Mims, De'Ami Brown, Savion Williams, Westbrook, Akine, Mechie. Our
As you
tight
can
ends
see, we were
are
hoping to
likely
get Bo.
Gesicki. Bob,
That
we
didn't happen.
completely failed at stacks.
Yeah, I mean, we were trying to get Bo. That didn't happen. But honestly speaking, the quarterbacks that we have, if they're going to be successful, I do think that the first two, there's some legs happening there. So it's not like a loss of it. And at the same point in time, I'm really not, I love the stack. I really do. But I'm not a fan of like stacking a quarterback that has uncertain weapons. Because I just don't think that those weapons would be able to perform because you have a Buffalo situation, right? Where say you stack Josh Allen with Mac Hollins and Shakir and all that stuff. One of those guys is going to hit every week on something, but two of them aren't. And so there is some, if I'm going after a quarterback in the stack like that, I want to get a good amount of like where those targets are going to. That's why I suggested maybe Sinnott, because we got a De'Ami Brown, Jane Daniels stack. A back end Sinnott or a back end Ertz there would be nice if you're taking Jane Daniels, because you're not going to be able to pair up Jane Daniels and Terry McLaurin because Terry McLaurin is going too high.
That's true.
So that's a problem if you're drafting Jane Daniels. If you're drafting a guy like Allen, again, the weapons are a little bit weird. If you're drafting Brock Purdy, you can definitely get into a Juwan Jennings. I do like Juwan Jennings for the upcoming year.
Oh, you get all the Niners now. They're all cheap. Kittle was the first Niner in the 4th round.
The Lamar guy could stack to Zay, definitely, probably stack to back end.
Correction. Wrong. McCaffrey went in the first, but aside from that.
Yeah, and family, this is the other thing is that, you can, by avoiding these spots at tight end and loading up some back end tight ends, it's not going to work every week. But if you wait for those last couple of rounds, you're going to miss out on a couple rookies here or there, but maybe those rookies don't hit, or you got some old guys there. If you just take a chance at those back end tight ends like that, 32 teams in the league, over half of them will throw the ball to the tight end probably 3 or 4 times a game. You're looking at where do those markets fall in the touchdown market. You just need some of them to fall in the end zone. I mean, Noah Gray 1 week, had a touchdown and like 1 yard.
Well, I know the guy who won our draft. He was the guy with the 3rd pick. I'm gonna read his team to you. He's the guy who won our draft, without a doubt in my mind. Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, Josh Allen, Jamo Pickens, Travion Henderson, Juwan Jennings, Shaheed, Jonnu Smith, Isaiah Bond, Leggett. Dude, he has everyone we talked about. Leggett, Colston Loveland, who I'm not in love with, Travis Hunter, Dylan Sampson, Zach Ertz, McCarthy, Ole, Tootin, Noel.
So this is the pathway.
And Calvin Austin. He won.
Well, here's the pathway for him not to be successful. Josh Allen misses a couple weeks.
Yeah, because he has no other quarterbacks.
Right. I think in this
at least ours,
where this varies from Best Ball Mania, because Best Ball Mania is usually like 18 or so rounds. Where this varies from Best Ball Mania is that it's so early that I think it behooves the user to take at least 3 quarterbacks maximum.
I think so too.
Because you're kind of playing the field. And like I said, I think it's important to play the field with a couple other. Joe, if you have time, we can re-rack another one. I mean, that didn't take us too.
I don't. I'm going to actually bail here in about 4 minutes of the hour.
But when we look at these things, and we'll be back with a couple more of these, as they fill for a couple days here. But I think it's a great talking point for these players as we look at uncertain situations, as we look at rookies coming in here. Taysom Hill, yeah, definitely a boom guy that's worth having because if he plays quarterback, tight end. I mean, he's old now, but again, back end of the draft like that, looking at where
Taysom Hill went 191 in the 16th round.
Worth it. Guys like Devin Singletary, not worth it. Will Shipley, not really worth it because Saquon pretty much is there. This is fun. I love this. I'd love to see a backfield tight end one if you're willing. Dude, family, Joe, we gonna be on tomorrow? I can go on tomorrow.
I cannot be on tomorrow. I can be on Thursday.
All right. Thursday, family. On Thursday, this upcoming Thursday, 3:45, we're gonna do another one, and we're gonna do a backfield tight end. And looking at these tight ends, Joe, if I'm looking at go to the last couple of rounds here.
That is the last rounds.
If I'm looking and I can get guys like Chig, Hunter Henry, Mike Gesicki.
If we do backfield tight end, I want it to be the last 4 picks, though. I want to do 4 of them.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. That's what he suggested. I'm there, family. I love it because, again, this is all about experimenting right now. You could fill out 150 of these. Obviously, we're not going to be filling out 150 of these, but you can fill out 150 of these, and you could try a lot of different things, and you're going to see a lot of different team dynamics in the makeup here. But I think what was really important, that's a good choice, especially considering what their wide receiver situation looks like. I really do think that these are going to kind of set the tone as we push our way into the Best Ball Mania season. They're going to give us a nice look.
One thing I do want to say, though, about the backfill here. Schultz is probably not a starter next year. He might not even be in the league. Gesicki certainly will be a starter. Chig will be a starter. And Juwan Johnson will be a starter. The rest of them?
Juwan's old, though.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason they're all down here.
Where did Kyle Pitts go? I'm curious.
Oh, Kyle Pitts went early.
He's a trade candidate.
So Kyle Pitts went. Oh, correct. He didn't go as early as I thought. He went in the 14th round at 161.
Okay. Yeah. And like we said, when it comes to these best ball tight ends, as we've established, you only actually need one of them to hit every single week.
Right.
So if you have 3 guys that can potentially ping you over 15 points in a half PPR league, that's setting you up for really good success. So where's the pathway for that? Well, that's going to be a touchdown. That's going to be probably 60 yards, and it's going to be something else. And so, ideally you want a tight end that's going to ping you 15 or above. But if you get a tight end that has a solid floor in that 10 to 11 category, you're not going to be chewing anything that's crazy, right? Stopping Joe from picking tight ends early will not be hard. It will not be hard. Because
I didn't take any tight ends early this time. The Kittle's the only one I wanted.
And I can't.
Our first tight end didn't come until the 12th round. And quite frankly, I would have been okay not taking Isaiah Likely.
And here's the thing, too, family, is that when it comes to the tight end, I agree with Joe that I think, and I said this earlier, that I think there's only 3 tight ends that I would want to take. If I were taking a tight end early, which I don't want to, but if I were, it would be Brock Bowers, but I don't like the price of Brock Bowers, so I'm not taking him. Trey McBride, I don't like the price of Trey McBride, so I'm not taking him. Sam Laporta, I like the price at times, depending on where he goes. And then George Kittle. George Kittle is basically the only player that can consistently ping you 20 plus points, even in half PPR leagues. So I'm okay if it comes to that and we're at the front end of that draft, that if he falls there and we've got a couple of important pieces, something like that works. But again, yeah, you've got to roll with the draft. But again, like I said, if Brock Bowers is the best value on the board, I'll take him. But I can almost guarantee you that I would rather take another player above Brock Bowers. And that's not because Brock Bowers can't get you an insane number, but it's also because his quarterback situation is uncertain. It's because we don't know what kind of wide receivers they're going to bring in. It's also the fact that he has scored below 10 points more so than he scored above 20 points. And if I'm taking a guy in the second round, I kind of want to
20 plus.
I kind of want a nicer floor than 8 points. Especially when you see that I could take Sam Laporta at the 5th round. I could take Kittle in the 4th, 5th round. I can also take guys like Dallas Goedert or Hunter Henry that can easily get me to a 15-point mark. And I only got to make up 6 points difference. So it will be interesting. So we will be back Thursday, 3:45
Thursday, guys,
with another best ball draft. And we'll be doing that backfield tight end.
Love it. Love it, guys.
Thanks,
see you guys
everybody.
then.
See you then.
Welcome to Local Football Flavor, connecting the fan bases of the NFL.